I'm going to talk about o1js, which is our sort of like zero knowledge toolkit for TypeScript. And I'm going to set that in relationship to a CK coprocessor, which is something people like to talk about a lot recently. For some reason, I've seen it on Twitter. So I thought I would just like pick that up and just talk about it. And yeah, so taking a step back, what is a CK coprocessor? It's essentially just a processor, as the name might indicate. That's sort of like separate from the main processor, but it's supposed to do something highly specific, and it's like pretty good at that. And by doing so, it sort of like helps the main processor doing something. And just some examples are, for example, like accelerating cryptography stuff or like arithmetic, floating point operations. I don't know, I'm not a hardware guy, so yeah. And how does that fit into the entire sort of like zero knowledge theme, you might ask? Well, easy answer. Well, I guess not easy answer, but if we look at the Ethereum world, which is something that we look at very often, actually, we see that Ethereum is sometimes called a world computer, or something around that line. And interestingly, with the EVM, the CK, and everything people are building, the CK EVM could be considered, I guess, like a processor. And however, this like big processor, it's like relatively inefficient. It's like very big, monolithic. If you want to just do a very basic transaction on it, like swap some tokens on the DEX, it will be insanely expensive just because it's like a big, inefficient system. And in comes the very beautiful power of zero knowledge cryptography, which enables you to do computation entirely off-chain, much more efficiently, I guess cheaper than paying the gas on-chain. And looking at this entire sort of like system, we can, I guess, consider that a CK coprocessor, which is living outside of this massive monolithic computational environment, and is sort of like serving computation to the user off-chain, and you can verify the entire computation very cheaply on-chain, like we just saw with Mina. The entire Mina system and the CK apps protocol that Nathan talked about is sort of like focused on this idea to offload computation off-chain and run it in the browser of the user, and then only verify the result on-chain. So yeah, and o1js is essentially a tool that allows you to write very specialized zero-knowledge circuits, and that supplement Mina. So some of you might ask, what are circuits? Circuits are just sort of like descriptions for algorithms that you can then cryptographically prove. When you execute them, you get a nice little proof that you can send to the Mina chain and verify it very cheaply. So o1js is the right tool and the perfect tool to do that. And o1js is sort of like the CK coprocessor of the future. At least I think that. I think everyone from O1 Labs thinks that. And it's a very powerful tool. So just briefly going back to what Nathan talked about, the entire CK app execution environment, on-chain only contains a verification key of your smart contract. The user is then within their browser or maybe mobile phone or also Node.js on the server, depending on the exact use case, simply executing the circuit and generating a proof of the execution within their, I guess, sort of like CK coprocessor environment, which is off-chain, and then only sending the zero knowledge proof to the blockchain, which then verifies the integrity of the execution. And that's how we sort of like achieve integrity of the CK coprocessor. And when everyone has a CK coprocessor running inside their browser, this becomes a very, very powerful environment. So yeah, o1js, as the name indicates, is a TypeScript or JavaScript compatible framework library. You can use it with VS Code, NPM, Prettier, ESLint, like all your sort of like favorite JavaScript things, whatever that might be. It's also very easy to integrate into existing JavaScript projects, front-end frameworks like Vue, Next, React, whatever. It runs both in the browser, which is very powerful, It also runs in Node.js, which is a server, and probably also runs on Deno and like Bun and all these fancy environments. And yeah, it's like really easy. You can also use existing JavaScript and TypeScript tooling and libraries to compose your applications. And it has like excellent VS Code, IDE, support and tooling. So yeah, Nathan also briefly talked about that under the hood. There's a lot going on actually, a lot of protocol work, a lot of cryptography, but I guess that the main things that are cool to know is probably Kimchi and Pickles. Kimchi is our prolonged proof system, and Pickles is the infinite recursion protocol layer that sort of like allows us to compose arbitrary smart contracts on-chain and also your application in smart contracts or standalone CK circuits. We do have a few cool features, including all sorts of custom gates for like Poseidon hashing, for in-field operations, for example, also for like ECDSA. We do have very, very soon support for SHA-3, and we are also actually working on all sorts of like other improvements to the proof system that aren't mentioned yet, aren't mentioned here. So yeah, looking forward to that. If anyone else is interested in cryptography, that's definitely something I would keep an eye on. And yeah, like I mentioned, it's literally just TypeScript, like nothing else. Here you can see an example that's specifying a smart contract, which is simply storing a field element on-chain and incrementing it when you invoke the update method. You simply invoke the update method, you generate a proof, send it to the chain, and then you sort of like get your smart contract behavior on Mina, which is very efficient. I think it's a very interesting concept and very powerful, especially when it comes to privacy and then privacy preserving applications. So before I'm coming to an end here, just briefly talking about a few interesting use cases and projects that you can build, and also naming a few interesting projects that are currently building using Mina and o1js, starting with private voting. Private voting is a very interesting concept. As the name might indicate, you can vote using zero-knowledge proofs. By using zero-knowledge proofs, you can not only verify your identity, you can prove your eligibility of your vote, you can prove your voting power, and you can do that entirely in a private, privacy-preserving, anonymous way. There's also a entire stack of real-world data and sort of like private DeFi application topic that you can do that we'll also talk about in a second. All sorts of like privacy in DeFi and protocols. There's also a big part when it comes to safe interoperability of not only private enterprises or like public smart contracts, also peer-to-peer proofs. You can very easily and very efficiently interop peer-to-peer applications and smart contracts. So that's a very interesting one. Another one which I think is very, very interesting and Nathan talked about as well is a sort of like layer 2 rollup focused, I guess, environment. Mina, because it's built with CK in mind, you can very efficiently and easily verify layer 2s, zero-knowledge proofs, and that allows you to build all sorts of layer 2 constructions that are based on zero knowledge. And yeah, so there's also the section of like KYC or like overall attestation of privacy, of user identity, age, credit score. That's a big one. And last but not least, there's a whole level of options that consider things like private token transfers, like Zcash, Monero type of stuff. So that's also very interesting that you can build with zero knowledge in our toolkit. So yeah, talking about a few interesting use cases and like applications that are currently actually building with and using o1js. These are not all the applications, just like a few that I could think of that are very interesting, starting with Lumina. Lumina is a KYC-enabled decentralized exchange. They're trying to tackle the DEX, I guess, use case from a KYC, privacy-preserving way. Very interesting use case. Toolkit, it's a privacy-preserving app chain framework that allows you to write app chains similar to Cosmos SDK or Substrate. Some of the founders, two of the founders are also here. They are wearing, hopefully, the shirt with the very nice orange logo. So talk to them if you're interested in that. There they are. So yeah, talk to them. If you want to build an application on Mina, look at their toolkit. I can really recommend it. They did an awesome job. So yeah, then there's Dia. Dia is a cross-chain data and Oracle platform for Web3. They're using zero-knowledge proofs to testify to the correctness of the data, the integrity of the computation that's happening off-chain. Very interesting project as well. And one more, Seco. Seco is a modular CK rollup stack, which are again looking at sort of like building CK rollups in a modular way, which is also very, very interesting. And yeah, if you're interested in like using our tools and you haven't used it before, just type in the first npm command to install our CK app CLI, which gives you the CK app CLI, and then you can like spin up a project with or without front end. Take a look at our documentation about o1js, and yeah, follow us on our Twitter and GitHub. So yeah, thank you very much.